Juice mixed with a little ginger. Oh girl, I wanna be with you, but you know they got enough time for me. I wanna live with you. I got the reason why I can't let go. Girl, you never know, so you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, so you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, so you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love. Match on your chin, now girl, don't talk. Got me like a thief in a night long jaw. But you know, say, all of my niggas, them ball. Nothing you go ever need at all. Match on your chin, now girl, don't talk. Taking it a break, at me, I know the rush. Baby, if you want me, catch a rebel, but me say with me. Yeah.
Show me a jigger, let me see. Let me see. And let me see the woman that is with. That is with. I put a couple $1,000 on your wrist. What's on your wrist? Mama, they can't touch you. I ain't never see this kind, babe. We do so kind things, make me feel some kind way. You know I'm not just tryna get laid, cause I know some kind chicks do it for the right pay. Baby, make I fire you with my machine guns. 16 rounds, I be King Kong. Girlie, make a sample you my brand new song. Baby, love.
Oh girl, I wanna be with you, but you know they got enough time for me. I wanna live with you. I got the reason why I can't let go. Girl, you never know, so you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, so you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, so you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love.
Senorita, mamacita, body bad and the craze for your features. Nice to meet you, Dimisika. Only wanna deceive on my future. No, I wanna teach your body a thing or two. If you know the things we do, this love will not be joke, no April Fool. Yeah, girl, so mama, you me seke. 5-star boomba, nyatabe. Kaba kaba miakatamina ngobe. Oh my, ni my boss, mama, mama. All of my guys are thugs, but you know I'm rude though. Tell me if you wanna give it up. I go trap much for your love, babe. All of the guys, they want you, but they don't know that I got you. And they never been where we been from. Cause you're my obsession. When I put you in a right skirt, shawty come and ride in my backseat. Would you tell me what you want, what you fancy? Waiting on my ride like a
Oh girl, I wanna be with you, but you know they got enough time for me. I wanna live with you. I got the reason why I can't let go. Girl, you never know, so you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, so you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love. Girl, you never know, so you come gas up. Man, them so far to find your love.
Another.
It's Kelpie Vibes.
Wanna give you everything, no pepe. Make you know they take it, play. Oh my girl, I go there for you. Make you scale my body, pepe. When I pull up on the tune, no pepe. I just sing a song for you, girl. Oh my girl, I go there for you. Make you ginger my body, pepe. Yeah. Girl, I'm stuck on you. I got your love for you. When I tell him my love for you. Sure you gon' love me too, girl, I'm stuck on you. Got your love for you. When I tell him my love for you, sure you gon' love me too. I get your matter from my head, I did tell you no.
Even if I so forget, I don't make you no girl. You make her confess, I dey love you, oh. I dey love you, oh. I dey love you, oh. It be me and you. If another man try, I go kill him, oh. Odo be yo, oh. If you don't know, I go kill him, oh. I go kill him. Girl, I no go kiss and tell. For the party, baby, oh, I'm bad. Like the way you ring my bell. So my baby, I go day loyal. Girl, I no go kiss and tell. For the party, baby, oh, I'm bad. Like the way you ring my bell. So my baby, I go day loyal, yeah. Girl, I'm stuck on you. I got the love for you. When I'm telling my love for you, sure you gon' love me too. Girl, I'm stuck on you. Got the love for you. When I'm telling my love for you, sure you gon' love me too. I did for Ghana, I did you, Pelu Kevin boy. Ghana girl, I need your loving. Come on, then show me something. Show my pongila. On the 95, Ghana wasting a Lucifer. I dey pray make a cast stand by. Girl, I no go kiss and tell. For the party, baby, oh, like the way you ring my bell. So my baby, I go day loyal. Girl, I no go kiss and tell. For the party, baby, oh, like the way you ring my bell. So my baby, I go day loyal. Girl, I'm stuck on you. I got the love for you. When I'm telling my love for you, sure you gon' love me too. Girl, I'm stuck on you. Got the love for you. When I'm telling my love for you, sure you gon' love me
someone to call my own. Man, I make yeah. Now I found someone to sit on my throne.
Oh, my friend, no him man, no listen from me, or him. I don't be me to be at you.
Oh yeah, me ma obi janka me yet yeah. Engozi se po better santi me modie.
Otumasi,
me ne wale be u. When him near seni ame no.
When him near seni ame no.
When him near seni ame no.
Me baby asisa, me better don't cry, me better don't cry. It's you me more, me nyobia. Me baby asisa, me better don't cry, me better don't cry. I tell you why.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good wherever you find yourself. Welcome to this year's Global Azure Bootcamp 2022 with yours truly, Samuel Adrani. Sorry, we had a late start. We're supposed to have started 2 p.m., but technical challenges happening, and we are starting right about now. So apologies for the late start, but I want to assure you that this is going to be very interesting and very educative. If you're joining us, welcome to the Global Azure Bootcamp 2022. I'm yours truly, Samuel Adrani. The Global Bootcamp started yesterday. I'm doing my session today, IoT Back to the Basics. If you are new to my content, I'm pretty much an enthusiast when it comes to AI, IoT, and the cloud. So join me today for the session. Let's have some fun. Basically, we'll be talking about IoT getting started, back to the basics, specifically on the Azure ecosystem. So it's going to be a bit in the beginning. It's going to be a lot more of, putting some information across to you. And then I'll try to do a demo to make it, very easy and straightforward to get into. So without much ado, let's get into it. So yeah, I'm going to share a couple of slides here, and I'll walk you through that process. Once we're done with it, I'll come back, to the workbench, so that we can talk a lot more about what we have on the workbench. Let me put my face back there so it's a lot more interesting on this. So we're going to be talking about IoT back to basics. Hopefully that is something that excites you. I'll take my time to explain a lot of things. We're currently streaming live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, and then also on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions on all these platforms, just put it in there, and I'll try as much as possible to answer the questions for you. If I'm not able to answer it, I'll I'll go figure it out and then share it for you to, understand that. So bear with me. I have a complicated setup. Okay, awesome. Let's get into it. So my name is Samuel Adrani. I am a Microsoft MVP on Azure category. I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer and also an Oracle certified professional. I'm currently a senior software engineer at Mekoma. As you can tell, I'm a cloud IoT AI enthusiast. I'm a community lead here in Accra, Ghana, where I'm based off. I co-organize and co-lead the Accra.net user group and then the Accra Power Platform user group. I also stream every Tuesday on IoT, everything IoT. On Fridays, I demystify technology. So from AI to 3D printing to robotics to all that, I just demystify technology as it were. And then on Sundays, I usually invite Power Addict to come onto the show. We talk about Power Platform. We share some content on Power Platform. I do that also. And then I have a podcast that once in a while I release on Fridays, which is pretty much talking about tech professionals and their journey into tech. There's a new one coming up called Sam and Friends, which is uncut, unapologetic, and unbiased. We say it as it is, as we feel it. Awesome. So today's agenda, we're going to be talking about what is IoT. I'll take you back history lane. We'll talk about some applications of IoT. We'll look at the infrastructure and technology for IoT. And then we'll look at some concerns about IoT, adoption barriers of IoT. And then we will now delve into why Azure IoT. Why should we consider using Azure, IoT, and in which ways? And then we'll look at the various Azure services. We'll take them one after the other. And then with time, I'm trying to keep this in an hour, and then if there's time, I'll show you a very simple, quick demo. You don't, like I mentioned in my description, you don't necessarily need to have all these things, but I'll share you certified Azure catalogs you can use, and then also if you don't, hey, we're going to use your phone and Azure IoT Central as a device. Sorry, your phone as a device. Connect to Azure IoT Central, and you see how easy it is. You realize that your phone comes packed with a lot of sensors, so we're going to leverage on that. All right, so let's get into it. And with some time, like I said, you can keep your questions coming. I'll answer them as they pop into my stream. Else, I will just go ahead and, answer them live, or I'll just put them after my session. So what is IoT, you might ask? So basically, or simply put, IoT is just a network of internet connected objects. All right. that is able to collect, exchange, and act on data, most times without human intervention. But depending on, where you find yourself in the business you do, you might need that data to act on it, or some human intervention, depending on what the last mile is for that data or that information IoT is acting upon. IoT at the moment, applicable to most devices, is targeting a lot of devices now. Pretty much anybody can get into it. It's available everywhere, almost everywhere, even in space. There's some IoT there, and I can guarantee and tell you that almost any business can benefit from IoT. All right, and then majority of the common networks we use that support IoT, even though I'll be talking about protocol and network specific ones that energy saving and scenario specific, right? And yeah, access data anytime, anywhere. So these are some of the things we're going to look at. We'll be looking at spreading or diving deep into when we're talking about IoT. But let's go back a little bit on history, down the history lane. A lot of people think IoT, the buzzword, just started, right? Which is technically not the case. What you're seeing now, actually, as early as 1982, I don't think I was, okay, I was, I was still young, right? Now, this is one of the very first IoT devices or IoT-enabled machine. Is a Coca-Cola vending machine. In 1982, right, it was modified to technically report its inventory and also was able to tell whether it was cold or not. Now, this seems... Hi, I follow you from Tunisia. Your videos are so helpful for me. Thank you. Nasir. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions or any suggestions or ideas as well. I'll gladly take them here as well. So thank you. And this seems like, wow, this is like, mind blowing. If the device could tell me, hey, it's code is code or not code. And this was actually one of the first IoT devices to have been recorded. Now this has come decades. Industrial revolution has moved from different levels or different phases. All right, we're getting into the phase where the fourth generation or the fourth industrial revolution, where whether you like it or not, right, IoT is right there. So from automations to big data to cloud computing to autonomous systems, IoT is, has become part of it, become part of the fourth revolution. And with IoT comes generation and processing of massive amounts of data. All right. From like even myself in the house right now, I have a sensor on my fridge that tells me when it's open and closed. And also helps me to know if someone opened the fridge and didn't close it. And also to tell me how often I go to the fridge. All right. This alone, think about it. The last time I was analyzing, I was like, wait a minute, this is the number of times I open my fridge. Yes, that is as much data that's generated. So imagine industrial IoT, commercial IoT, all these things generated tons and tons of the data. All right. We need a way to manage them. So as we're transitioning into this generation or revolution, we need to embrace ourselves, for it. Now, I just want to share some projections with you, some IoT projections. Maybe that will give you some idea of what I'm talking about. Now, the number of IoT devices, are projected to grow from 7 billion, that was in 2018, to about 22 billion in the next 3 years. That's a lot of devices. And with these devices come a lot of connectivity, networking challenges, security. We're going to talk about all that. All right. Now, Gartner, which is one of the biggest market researchers, predicts that as of 2 years ago, we would have had 26 times more connected things than people. And that is true, right? The numbers are increasing now from smartware, smart goggles, smart microwaves, you think about it, a lot of these things have now, being part of the smart ecosystem. Now, McKinsey also reports that now every second there are about 127 devices that are connected to the internet. So you can imagine the number of growth happening, on there. Now, so IoT market predicted to double as of last year, and it actually has tripled, over 520 billion USD dollars. All right. Now, the other metrics I want us to take a look at. Now, this is the enterprise IoT market, okay, from 2019 all the way projected or predicted into 2027. All right. Now, the data as of March this year. Now, this is the data, this is a projection. If you look at the legend from security, hardware, services, software, right, putting all together and the total spend, look at the growth from 2019 going projected or forecasted into 2027. Look at the growth. Enormous, right? Enormous growth and spent and capital, right? So this is going to be the global spending on enterprise IoT in billions. You see that? So it's on that, trajectory. Now, there a couple of things happened, in the IoT space the year in review 2021. We're still 2022, so we'll come back to that now. January 2021, all right, within that space, major automakers cut production forecasts due to chipset shortage. Now, these are things that would have affected and impacted IoT in the year in review, which I want to, it's good to have understanding of these things so that you can much appreciate where we are going with it, all right? Now, in the same time in January, so China also announced 3-year plan to create like a 5G factories and major industrial IoT platforms, which is, still underway. Then somewhere in February, Bosch announced its new AIoT strategy, joining the race. Somewhere in March, Microsoft announced the Microsoft Mesh, which is a version of Metaverse, which you're using. And then still in March, Verkada reported a hack of about 115,000 security cameras. We'll talk about security side of IoT as well, in subsequent slides. Then also in March, New York City unveils its new IoT strategy, which is really, I think I talked about it in one of my episodes, so you can look at it. And all the way in July, close to August, Swarm, right? SpaceX acquired Swarm Technologies to focus on satellite IoT. Now, if you don't know, Swarm Technologies basically deals with satellite communications for IoT devices. So sometimes you are in places where, connectivity is a bit sketchy, but satellite seems your only option. Swarm did that, and SpaceX acquired that to help them focus on satellite IoT. Then in October, Ericsson announced intent to merge with Aspen Technologies. And then in December, Samsara, went public with its IoT sales, right? So these are some major happenings. You can tell how companies are positioning, acquiring, and unveiling and placing themselves and making themselves ready for the, IoT revolution. And that is the reasons why it's important at this time to assess where you're fitting or how you can get started with it. You could start very small, which I'll show you how to do today, and then you can move in, big. I virtually didn't start from an IoT perspective. I was just an applications developer, and then, had the interest and drifted, into IoT. All right. So let's look at some of the applications of IoT. And please, if you have any questions, this is, feel free, drop it in any of the platforms you're watching us from Twitter, from YouTube, from Twitch, from Facebook, from LinkedIn. Just put the question there and I'll try to answer that. So first use case in terms of applications, we have consumer IoT. All right. Now, and this is a growing portion of IoT devices, growing, because from your smart devices all around you. All right. So connected vehicles, home automation, like smart homes, wearable, connected health, elderly care, application with remote monitoring capabilities. All these things fall under consumer applications of IoT. All right. Then we can talk about some of the commercial applications of IoT. So you can talk about medical health, okay, which is Internet of Medical Things. You can talk about transportation. You can talk about vehicle to everything communications. You can talk about building and home automation as well on the commercial level, like hotels, smart hospitals on that level. Okay. Then we can also talk about industrial applications of IoT. So industrial IoT, that's where you have your PLCs, your, all those cool stuff. Yeah. And this has already been happening a long time, but now with IoT on the edge and, technologies being much accessible, right? This is even pushing it beyond, what people could imagine. So now you don't necessarily need to be a a big budget or big, industry, or big player to be able to, have some IoT happening in your industry. Pretty much technology and tools are making it accessible for even the smallest of enterprises or industries to get into the revolution. All right. Then another important part is what we call the infrastructure application of IoT. So here you're talking about energy management, metropolitan, development. You have environmental monitoring. So this is things like New York City unveiling it, smart cities. Your utility providers using IoT, smart meters for utilities. Water, electricity, gas. All these applications. Allow us, right, to leverage IoT in numerous ways. Now let's take a look at some of the in terms of the infrastructure. Let's look at the network and connectivity side of IoT. So IoT is made up of, like we said, devices, communication, network. All right. So there has to be some form of network connectivity happening in there. These are the common connectivity available, for IoT. There's Bluetooth mesh, network, and then BLEs. All right. So it's not every IoT device that necessarily goes off over to the internet, but within a network, they're able to, function. So you have Bluetooth, so it could be all the way from a Bluetooth door sensor that can trigger if a door is open and something happens. Live fidelity or Wi-Fi. NFCs play a part where you can actually trigger a home automation when you tap your phone's NFC to some NFC stuck to your door to say, hey, I'm home, or something like that. All right. You can talk about radio frequencies, identification, RFID, more common and, applicable or used in recent times, low power wide area network, LoRa. There's also power line communications, Wi-Fi, Ethernet, Zigbee, Z-Wave, cellular all the way from 3G to 5G. Now, these all, Sigfox, LoRa, all these things participate. Hey, Jonado, hey, IoT in the industry is Industry 4.0. Yes. Yeah, thank you, John. That is true. Yeah. So it's amazing that, a lot of the times we think, or we thought of IoT in the industry as being too expensive for even companies to apply it to get increased productivity. For most of them, now that is accessible. All right. There's also concerns about security. People say, well, I don't want to have my data in the cloud. Now there's edge processing. All right. So you can technically do everything in your environment on an edge device and only send what data has to go. Even if you don't want to send it to the cloud, your edge is there for you. So this has made it very, 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 yeah. So thank you, John, for that, John, and welcome to the stream. If you have any questions, feel free to put them there, and then we would answer it. Now, as part of the connectivity, these are some of the common data protocols. Exchange of data and messages. MQTT is one of the biggest one. All right, and then there's also MQTT for sensor networks, and derivative of MQTT or additions or built on top of MQTT is MQTT Spark Plug. All right. Those heavily used in industrial automation, right? Those are heavily used in and one of these days, I'm going to be bringing two of my friends who are doing industrial automation. So they'll come and talk a lot more about industrial IoT. I don't do a lot of industrial IoT because I'm more surrounded by, consumer and commercial IoT. So they'll talk more about it. Pretty much concepts the same if you understand it. Then you have a constraint application protocol. Usually used for protocols it's intended for places where there are resource constraints, smaller footprint, internet and nodes and stuff like that. Then you have the simple text oriented messaging protocol. You can talk about the extensible message and presence protocol. You can talk about the extensible messaging and presence protocol for IoT. WebSockets are still leveraged. We leverage AMP, DDS, LAP. So a lot of these things are leveraged, but the common of them, which happens mostly, that is used, you see a lot of MQTT, HTTP, S derivative of that. All right. Now, there are some concerns when it comes to IoT. Okay. It's not just because, hey, it's IoT, makes things smart and not, people still have concerns. Now, the first part is the platform fragmentation. Okay, and what does this mean? Well, IoT suffers from a platform fragmentation because, first of all, lack of interoperability and common technical standards. All right, so I'm not talking about the protocol level of things. MQTT is standardized enough for a lot of them to be able to, for devices to speak to different platforms. So a lot of even these platforms leverage these standards. However, in terms of operability, where I can say, okay, would I be able to, have cross-platform, or cross-fused platforms for my IoT like implementation? Let's say I have one section of my IoT deployment on platform A, and the one on platform B, and another on platform C. Now, there could be valid reasons for doing that. But however, because of lack of this interoperability, it makes it difficult to manage, right? So these are some of the concerns. So, and most people also don't want to be logged into one vendor. So you get a lot of people, once they start their IoT journey on one vendor, they are there for a long time, and it becomes difficult if they have other things to integrate. But thankfully, some of the protocols and some of the emerging changes are making it easy to pipe data or move data and resource or information into other platforms. So, but this has been some of the concerns, people have shared. All right. And it's not just the platforms, in terms of hardware. You might have some hardware that doesn't speak some protocol or that doesn't use some communication, standard. And then because of that, it's not supported by the platform. So a lot of concerns in terms of platform fragmentation. Question from John Ado: is MQTT more like AMQP in RabbitMQ for queuing and asynchronous messaging? Well, kind of. All right, kind of. So both are queuing, messaging, pops up protocols, all right, data protocols. But MQTT is more lightweight, all right, and has evolved over the years, all right. His robust, very scalable, all right. But yes, it's pretty much the same thing. However, MQTT supports a lot more. I'm trying to find the right word for it. Don't worry, it will come out here. But MQTT supports a lot more configurations as compared to AMQP, right? But pretty much yes. A lot of companies and a lot of platforms have adopted MQTT. I think there's a portion of Azure that use AMQP, but now mostly they've adopted MQTT to do that. But yes, both of them support queuing, messaging, and then pops up. I hope that answered your question. So that's the first concern, platform fragmentation. Then the second part is privacy, autonomy, and control. All right. Now, the internet offers, an immense potential for empowering citizens. Okay. Making government transparent and broad information access become people's concerns. That. So there's always, that privacy threats, that's not people are, potential social control and political manipulation. So people find it a bit finicky to say, hey, I don't want to, partake in that. All right. So people find it a bit difficult as well. Then there is the data storage. I think I alluded to this from the beginning, that the amount of data that is being generated, all right, by IoT devices is so massive that if you don't have a good strategy in place on how to manage and use this data, it becomes very overwhelming. So it's a concern. The other thing is security. I talked about the flaws when certain cameras were hacked. Now, you need to implement or deploy your IoT enrollment in a very planned and in a best practice way. All right. A lot of people use devices. They don't change default passwords. They don't change default settings. They're just using after the box settings. People are putting IoT devices onto their core home Wi-Fi networks, exposing, so there. And again, I can understand in as much as there are concerns, you also need to do your IoT deployment in a secured way. All right. Now, and I mean, once you have concerns about security, safety is the next thing. Is it safe? Devices with IoT, with all this embedded, are they safe? All right. Perfectly safe. Now, with all these concerns, all right, it actually inhibits the adoption of IoT at some point, all right. So the lack of interoperability and unclear value propositions, privacy and security concerns, traditional governance structure, and business planning, and that all these things make it difficult for not just individuals, for industries or corporate, for pretty much a large number of people to adopt IoT. All right. Now, and I'm sharing all these things so that I can explain the reason why it's interesting to do this on the Azure cloud. All right. So stay with me. Stay with me. So these are some of the most significant barriers. Again, sharing this for you this as of 2016, you can see those that have gone up, those that have reduced, those that are still, nothing has been changed. Security, IT, integration, unclear return on investments, technical expertise, interoperability, data portability, vendor risk, transition risk, the fear of I can't change vendor because if I change my whole infrastructure will break, network consistency, vendor locking, all these things, make it difficult for people to say, hey, I want to venture and get into IoT. But however, that is why today's session is here to, take off all these, alleviate all these concerns. All right. So why Azure IoT? We've talked about all these concerns. All right. I have alluded to all these concerns that is making it difficult. All right. To get into IoT. Now, so Azure IoT is basically a collection of managed cloud services, all right? Managed cloud services that connect, monitor, and control billions of IoT assets, all right? In simple terms, an IoT solution is made up of one or more IoT devices, okay, that communicate with one or more, backend services that's hosted in the cloud or living on your edge. This is what Azure provides, okay? The Azure IoT ecosystem alleviate or tries to alleviate a lot of those concerns and all of those barriers to make it easy for you to get started. All right. First off, you can take advantage of the largest ecosystem in the industry. All right. Let me move this out of here so we can see this. You can leverage, all right, the largest ecosystem in the industry. All right. So pretty much Microsoft Cloud has an ecosystem of a lot of partners. All right, that enable you to access the cloud capabilities and deploy hundreds of, what we say, proven, repeatable solutions for your specific business needs. It doesn't matter the business size. Okay, that's the first reason, as to what Azure IoT provides you. Okay, now this turns into, the why, which we'll come back to. The second part is you have the ability to automate operations with Edge AI. Now, if you didn't know that, Azure on itself is infused with AI, all right? So you can expand intelligence to your edge devices and not necessarily just have it happen, on the cloud, all right? The third thing, you can develop your solutions with, best-in-class tools. So whether you want to connect, monitor, or manage, there are tools and services available for you to do that, all right? A lot of them. Then you can easily control, securely connect, provision, manage, update, and monitor any of your devices, okay, throughout its lifetime, okay, with a comprehensive, management platform. Allows you to organize and, your devices in a single view. And all this is provided by the ecosystem Azure IoT has to offer. All this being done in a secured environment that Azure is spending billions and billions of dollars, onto, to make sure that it is available and accessible for you to, to use. All right. Awesome. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to send. Now, so why IoT? Why Azure IoT? From all that I have said, Azure is for everybody. Okay. Built on decades of Microsoft enterprise experience, it's designed to be accessible to all. So it doesn't matter whether you have a 10-member company, a home, a hobbyist, or to, Fortune 500 or whatever that is, you can actually leverage and use it. Also, talk about Microsoft investment. I mean, Microsoft is committed investing over, billions of dollars, over $5 billion just in IoT research, all right, and intelligent edge, and making sure they're adding new services and features to make it easy for you to get into, all right? So we're just for now, we're just going back to the basics, understanding the basics of things and how to get into it. So it's flexible, plans for everybody, intelligent, AI built in, trusted, emerging the Microsoft experience. All right. Now, so let's talk about some of the Microsoft offerings, and I'm going to take them in this. I mean, it's not in any particular order, but these are the key or the top Azure services and offerings that as we're going back to the basics and getting started, you can leverage. All right. So the first stop is Azure IoT Hub. Okay. So Azure IoT Hub is, I would say, is your gateway, okay, into Azure. All right. It's a service that allows you to connect. All right. Connect, manage, and then communicate, two-way communication between your IoT devices and the cloud, and the Azure cloud. All right. So this enables you to, in a secure way and reliable way, communicate between your Internet of Things application, the devices, and manage it. All right. It's a cloud-hosted backend that allows you to connect virtually any device. All right. So allows you to extend your devices. Four major things: security, enhanced communication, top notch. Device update for IoT Hub. You can do over the hub updates of your devices. It's fully integrated with all the other Azure services. So from event grade, serverless compute, all the other services easily integrated. And it's compatible with Azure IoT Edge for building hybrid applications. So if you don't want your stuff to be in the cloud, you can use the Azure IoT Edge. All right. That is Azure IoT Hub, the first one. Then we can talk about IoT Central. Okay. Let's just talk about it. Now, IoT Central is a PaaS. Okay. It's a platform as a service. Actually, it's a ready-made user experience API surface that allows you to connect, manage, scale, and reliably, work with your IoT project. Now, here's the case. You see all these services that I'm listing here as the Azure services and offerings. Okay, all these things. You use them one way or the other. Okay, IoT Hub, we're saying, is the gateway into the cloud to do other stuff. You can talk about time series insights, map, real-time operating system. We'll talk about them, in detail. What IoT Central has done, and it's been revamped, and that's what we're going to be using today for our quick demo. What IoT Central has done is, behind the scenes, created a simple platform as a service solution. All you need to do, connect your devices, determine your device template, connect them, and that's it. You have data coming in into your IoT Central, right? And you can do your insight. The cool thing is that it allows you to start as high as you can and go as low as you want. So which means that you can start leveraging everything on there. But if you feel like, I want some extensibility, there are APIs that allow you to connect it to external sources. So you can take your data from there, connect it to your external system, your business, your line of business applications, and other third-party systems you might use. Very, very handy, all right? Gives you quick connectivity between your IoT devices and the cloud, has centralized management to, for easy configuration and update. You get visualization and analysis that makes sense of the data, okay, that your sensors are pushing in. Like I said, extensibility bridge. So if you want to do some extra processes, you can export the data, use the API services to do that, all right? Comprehensive. I mean, very, 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 and companies like, how do you call it? Like I think Starbucks is using it, Kroger is using it. A lot of companies are leveraging it. Clean energy, even the UNDP, all right, is also leveraging IoT Central to make their IoT deployment quite easy, right? And we'll be using that for our example today. Then we can talk about the third one, which is IoT Edge, Azure IoT Edge. Now, just like the name implies, now, if you don't want your Azure workload or Azure processes to happen in the cloud, okay, what Azure IoT Edge does is you can deploy on-premise, okay, to break up that data silo and consolidate operations at scale. So if you don't want it to go to the cloud, hey, put it on your local environment or on-premise using the Azure IoT Edge. There are some certified Azure IoT Edge devices. It's a free and open source runtime, under MIT license, and it's modular, so it's Docker compatible. So you're running bunch of containers, so you can have different modules that process your Azure, your IoT data point, right? And you can also remotely access it if you want to. You can connect to the cloud interface and leverage it. And there's one such I have one such device which I'll show you when it comes to the Azure IoT Edge, which is the Azure Vision Dev Kit. Okay, I'll share that with you. I have one here. I'll show that with you. And that Vision Edge Kit is an IoT Edge device. So it has an inbuilt camera, audio processing, and all that. So you can just put that on your premise, and then you have Azure IoT running on the edge. So processing of the feed, adding AI models and stuff like that, all happening on the edge. Then we can talk about the Azure IoT accelerators are pretty much kind of a bunch of templates, all right, that allow you to get started, kind of like a template you can get started, and it's industry specific. You can have one for manufacturing, hospitality, commercial, and all that. So it's like pick it, start using it, and you can get running and make modifications. Azure Sphere is Microsoft's an effort in ensuring that you are running secured IoT hardware. All right. So the way we are having billions of new devices being connected each year to IoT, and as much as 127 in seconds, it's important that we have a way to secure, these devices and protect the data, privacy, and physical, safety of these devices. So Azure Sphere security services and the Azure Sphere ecosystem is what that helps to do that. I also show you an Azure Sphere as well when we go to the bench. Once I make, I throw away all this, a lot of theory and plenty talk. So it allows you, it's pretty much a hardware security model embedded into it that allows you to securely, boot, securely process, and securely use an IoT device, which is much, much safer. It goes up, it leverages some principles to ensure that it's secured. And two dev kits came out for that. I'll show you those on the bench in a bit. So pretty much provides you multiple layers of protection to help, guard your devices against a lot of this, ever-growing threats. It helps you secure existing equipment and build protection into your IoT investment. It also allows you to have over-the-air updates and also error reporting to the security modules, all right? And some of these I have actually done extensive videos on my YouTube channel. You can go see them as well if you want to have a lot more info about it. Then we can talk about Azure Digital Twins, okay? Now, whether you notice it or not, there is always the need, right, to create or to be able to manage your physical asset, all right, in the digital space. So let's say I have an air conditioner, or let's say some kind of a conveyor belt system in my factory floor, and I want to be able to have a digital representation of it, and based on the sensor data coming to tell if it's functioning properly, not just having data coming and not being able to readily, enter. So digital twins is just a way for you to create a digital representation of your real world things, all right, places, business processes, and people. So it's not just things, it's not just sensors. What? Real world things, places, business processes, and people, all right? So it allows you to create a digital representation, and then you can now use the data coming in, okay, from these systems to actually, do prediction, forecast, and all that, okay? Typical example where you have something like GE having a digital twin of airplanes or their jet engines, and with the data coming in, you can see how it's affecting the various parts of the engine, all right? And this is one of the things that would combine with the mesh and this whole metaverse thing. Quite interesting stuff ahead. Then Azure Time Series Insight allows us, okay, as we have streams of data coming in from our IoT sensors, devices, things, and people, all right, the Azure Time Series Insight allow us to turn our data into actionable insights. So not just a stream of data coming in, but to be able to, get patterns, look at it, apply some AI, and get some actionable insight, from it. And that's what the Azure Time Series service, does for us. Then we can talk about Azure Maps and Azure RTOS. These are, Azure Map, I can, quickly ways of, mapping, our devices in the digital space. Then we can talk about Azure Real-Time Operating System. Okay, it's just an embedded development suite that includes a small but powerful operating system that allows you to provide what we call a more reliable performance for resource-constrained devices. So your computers can process multi-threads, but most times single thread computers and our smaller IoT microcontrollers and stuff are not able to do that. Some of them can run RTOS. So RTOS is more or less like an OS embedded OS that allows them to function almost like computers to be able to do a lot more processes as you move on. So these are top. There's some recent ones. Honorable mentions are the Azure SQL Edge, that is allowing you to have SQL storage on the edge as well. All right. So these are the common or the top Azure IoT service offerings that allows you to leverage and use IoT. Okay. So Azure IoT Hub, like I mentioned earlier on, highly reliable, secured platform, okay, that allows you to communicate with your devices. So because we've talked about that much, I won't spend much time on it. We've talked about the features of it. So pretty much simple. Now, I think it's time we quickly run through well, let's not even talk about the pricing of it. I'm looking at time. So we started a bit late, but I think it's time for me to jump into today's demo, right? So getting started, quite simple. All right. So I'm going to take you to the bench, show you a few of the devices, and then share some resources, and then we'll do today's demo, and then we'll call it a day. All right. And don't forget, at any point in time, you can ask your questions, and also, you can put it in any of the platforms, and I'll try to answer it. Okay. So enough of this. Let's go to the bench. Let's do this. All right. So let's bring this in. And let me know if you can, the audio might change a bit because I'm switching to a body pack because I'm moving away from my, so what we have here, let me get my pointer. So, and I'll share some resources as well. Actually, let me open those resources and make them available so we can easily review them. Azure IoT device catalog. All right. Let's bring this here. So, what I'm showing you here are mostly certified, what we call certified IoT devices on Azure. All right. Let's do this. Actually, let me quickly take you to the. Let's go back to the desktop. Let me show you a few things. So if you go to, if you go to devicecatalog.azure.com, right, you're going to see all the certified devices. Some of them are plug and play. Some of them are edge ready. All right. You see all of them. So these are all edge certified devices you can use on the edge. These are plug and play devices because we have their template, device template already embedded in IoT Central. All right. So all these, most of them are, they are certified devices. Okay. So if you're looking for devices, if you're looking for solutions, you can do that there. Now, if you go to devices, okay, you can either look for Azure certified, Edge managed, IoT plug and play, gateways, sensors, all these things. All right. Let's see. Let's do plug and play. So this is going to list all the plug and play devices that are Azure certified. Okay. I want to show a few of them. And you can also search for them. This is just a list to show you, okay, these are the devices or dev kits that are readily compatible with Azure. But don't worry if you don't, have any of this, depending on where you are. And sometimes, it can be a bit frustrating to get some of these devices. I'll share with you ways you can do it without necessarily having, these dev kits. Okay. All right. So let's go to the bench and let me share some of them with you. All right. Awesome. Let's start with this. Okay. So I'll start from here. So this particular one here is the MX chip IoT dev kit. All right. Now, this one in particular was one of the very early ones that allowed you to easily, connect this to a Wi-Fi network and then provision either IoT Hub or IoT Central, and then bam, it has a bunch of sensors on it, and you can start, prototyping this using IoT Central, right? So this was the one of the very first dev kits, the MX chip, all right? It's still available. But now, I'm going to show you, you don't necessarily need this. The reason why, maybe for prototyping and running or creating your application to talk to Azure IoT Central and Azure services, you might want to use this to get your logic and business thing running, and then you can actually use whatever you want to do. So this is the MX chip. Then this here is the Azure Sphere. Okay, don't mind what's on it. That's just a groove. So this is it. This here is the Azure Sphere. All right. What you see here is just some groove shield that allows me to connect groove sensors. So this here has a secure TPM, secured boot. So there's a different chip that handles just security and another chip that pretty much for the processing. So here again, two antennas here. This doesn't have a bunch of some buttons and LEDs, all right? But this allows you to connect, as you can see, other sensors to build a more secured application. So this was in partnership with Seed Studio. This was the very first one. And then this is also an Azure Sphere, but this was with in partnership with, why do I keep forgetting the name? I think it's Avant or something. Yeah, this is a dev kit. This is the second dev kit that came. So these three are all Azure Sphere device, which is also part of a service, secured Azure services provided by Microsoft Azure IoT. Then this is a wheel terminal from Seed Studio. Now this is also compatible. You can connect this to IoT Central. This has a Raspberry Pi pin, GPIO pin out here. It also has two JTAGs for groove connectors, so you can connect groove sensors here. And then it has, this four-way and kind of like rotary encoder as well, and has an LEC screen. So you can also connect this just to test, your IoT experience. But then again, like I mentioned, if these things are not readily available for you, you can leverage this. Then in recent times, there's the ESP32, ESP8266 has been very prominent and common if you are in the IoT hobbyist or IoT environment, right? And it became needed that, hey, a lot of people are using ESP8266, which is this one, and an ESP32. I have one there. So why don't we make it easy for them, especially those that are using either Arduino form factor, to be able, to connect to Azure IoT? You could connect your ESP32 to it in your own ways, all right? So Azure then again came up with a dev kit. So this is the ESP32 Azure IoT dev kit. This is packed with a lot of sensors, buttons, there is, touch, a whole lot of stuff. Again, with this, you can just go into your IoT Central, provision an IoT Central application, connect this, download a sample application, put in your keys, and off you go. You can prototype with it. So this is it. Now, this is an ESP8266 on kind of like, an adapter variable for Groove, so I can connect Groove sensors to it. However, it doesn't just mean that you need all these kits, all right, to be able to start your journey into Azure IoT. Not the case. Now, you could also use a Raspberry Pi. And if you're running a Raspberry Pi, okay, Raspberry Pi is running some version of Linux, so which means you can actually deploy a node application that is using the APIs of Azure IoT Hub, Azure IoT Central to build your application. If you check my channel, my application that controls the fan and the light and the relays is a node application running on this Raspberry Pi. The other thing is that if you don't want to node, let's say you are a C# developer, you can actually also deploy a .NET application running on the Pi to also build your IoT solution as well. So this is here. Now, I mentioned the Edge devices. So what you see here is an Azure Vision Dev Kit. So this is an Edge certified device. Let's see if I could find this. Let's see. So this here, you can see a camera microphone inbuilt with Edge support. So you can use this to build any vision project, AI based, but then every processing is happening on the edge. This is another kit. Then in recent times, the Azure Percept, the base module, the audio module, and then, the camera module and the audio module, right? This is a platform. Let me bring this here. So this is a platform. The Azure Sphere is a platform that allows you to also securely deploy and build Azure solutions using a lot of the Azure services, all right? So, so one may say, well, Sam, all these things, lots of them, I don't have them, I can't afford them, I'm not in the link to get them. Don't worry. I just want you to know that these are all dev kits you can use. Common, either you're going for a Raspberry Pi, you're going for an ESP32 or an ESP8266, all right? Very common form factors. But aside all this, if you still are not able to, leverage it, then this here, yes, your phone, you can start with your phone. You don't necessarily need to have all this to get started. So I'm going to show you in the demo for today, I'm going to show you how I'm going to turn this, my phone, because your phone is packed with gyroscope, accelerometer, magnetometer, all those meters, all right? Your phone has all of it that most of these dev kits have that you can leverage. So today, we are not going to use any of these kits. We're going to use our phone and then a simulator for Raspberry Pi. So we don't need it. So again, you don't necessarily need to have any of this expensive kit. If you have a smartphone, you can do it. So let's get into it. All right. So let's go to the bench right now. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in there. This sounds much cleaner. Yeah, because this mic was just picking up everything. I need to do something around it. But any which ways. So this, remember this list and just make sure that I think I'll probably just throw it here. As you're watching, it should be part of the comment somewhere. You can go check that out. So let me share the Raspberry Pi simulator for you. I'm also going to drop that link here. So let's go to the Raspberry Pi simulator. I'd have loved to use this for the demo, but I'm just going to show you that it exists and you can use it. So there you go. Let's give it a bit to load. And that is it. There you go. So as you can see, it has a BME 280 accelerometer, gyro, all those. It has all those interesting things on it, all right? And that's been connected to the Raspberry Pi. So you see, an LEDs. This is a simulator, all right? So Raspberry Pi Azure IoT Online Simulator. So with this, you don't, sorry, forgive me, guys. I've been talking for a while and I'm not taking some. I need to have my water with me next time. But anyway, cheers. Apologies, people. All right. So, as you can see, this is a simulator. So, you don't need a physical device to do it. So, the code pretty much done for you. So, now all you need to do is make some changes. All right. And here would mean you need to have your IoT Central configurations and things done, and then you can start it. Okay, so this is the first way to go about it. Don't stress it. All right, don't worry if you don't have a device. You can start with this. Create a free account. You can always create a free Azure account. All right, that will give you access to a lot of these services for free, and then you can get started. All right, so for today's session, let's go and use IoT Central and our phone to see how we can send the first stuff. So IoT Central has gone. So hey, QX42, is it possible to zoom the code in a bit? Oh, so let me do this. So I just pasted, the code is there available. I just pasted the link to this. So yeah, but I mean, surely I can do that for you. Why not? Yeah, but I pasted in the code. So if you go here, the code, everything is there. Once you open the simulator, the code is there. But if you want to see the code, this is it. So Raspberry Pi wiring. Here you can see Azure IoT device, the device client, the messaging client, the protocol. As you can see, we're talking about MQTT. So this is using MQTT. And this is the BME2. That's the sensor you saw on it. And then pretty much setting it up. And yeah, as you can see, quite simple, right? So that's what I'm saying, that if you're comfortable either with Node or Python or .NET, you can write an application and deploy onto the Raspberry Pi and be able to connect to IoT Central or IoT Hub. All right. So yeah. But for the purposes of our session, so we don't take too much of our time, we are going to use IoT Central and your phone. All right. IoT Central and your phone. So IoT Central allows you to have a 7 days trial. So you can go in there, create an account, leverage it for 7 days just to build and test stuff. Okay. But for our session, we are going to use our phone. So there's something you need to do. Let me see if I can. Let me quickly bring up. Let's do this. Let me bring up my reflector so I can start connecting my phone to it. Okay. And yeah, I think at this point I'll just oh yeah. Yeah, I'll just close off. So I have my reflector here. Sorry, I'm going to connect to my phone so that we can walk through that from here. So please bear with me. And I think I can now close our presentation as we don't need that again. Awesome. Let me put this here. Just a sec. And like I was saying, as we do this, if you have any questions, please drop the questions in the chat, and then I will connect it for you. I'll talk about it for you. So first of all, you need to install the app. Okay, let me get my phone and let me get my phone. Sorry about that. Apologies for that. Yeah, let me get my phone and let me get my phone and my system onto the same network so that they can be on the same. There you go. Now, so what you need to do is you will need to download an app. Okay, you need to download the Azure Plug and Play. All right, the Azure Plug and Play app. Let me show you that. There you go. Let me bring Reflector up. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, and sometimes when you connect these things, it just goes off because I know I connected at the beginning of the, let's go. Okay. Okay. So this looks like it started. Okay. Let's do our screen mirroring. Volta workstation. Should be mirroring. Okay. Looks like something came in. 800. Okay. So we're connected. And yeah, you can hear some music, but don't mind this. So let me pull this. Actually, I can minimize this now. And we can minimize that. So, all right. So let's bring this here. So there you go. There you have it. All right. So this, what you're seeing here now is my phone. Is my iPhone right now. All right. So you go to your, I have a quiet. So you go to your App Store. And then you look for IoT Plug and Play. I already downloaded it. All right. I just want to share this with you. Okay. So as you can see, I've already downloaded it here. Is this one, IoT Plug and Play? Right. Okay. I think I already tried connecting it to the, but then we'll try to do it again. So when you open it up, right? So it's connecting. I'll delete everything and then we'll do another one. We'll connect it to it. All right. So with that said, let me move this into the corner here. And then let me see if I can. Yeah, let's do it this way. And then let's put the reflector here. This is one of the cool things that I like about. All right. So there you go. Welcome. Connect your phone to Azure IoT Cloud and experience the simplicity of IoT Plug and Play in just a few steps. All right. So looks like I deleted that. How do you call it? That IoT Central stuff. So it's not, it's not picking. It couldn't see it. So that's why it's going to start. So once you can scan a QR code within IoT Central to do that, but we won't do it just yet. So let's walk through this. So you need to create an application, all right, in IoT Central. So I'll just keep pressing it just to keep the phone open. So let's go to our IoT Central here. All right. And let me log in. I click here. I can just simply, if you go to App Store, Azure Central, Azure IoT Central.com, it will take you to the newly revamped page, and you see all this. Or you can just log in and create and build a new application. All right. Now, when you are in IoT Central and you build an application, you can build from a template or stuff like that. So let me see if it connected me to the correct. Yeah, I know, right? I have a couple of accounts, but I want to be sure I'm using. So which one is this? Open this. Let's see. Okay, Hotmail. Oh, do I have Hotmail? Okay, no problem. We can still use it though, unless because it tells me. Okay, so you go to build on the left side, and then you see that you have all these templates: connected logistics, digital distribution center, in-store analytics. So these are more like templates, or like Azure IoT Accelerator, all right, which we talked about, now brought into here. In-store analytics checkout, smart inventory management, micro fulfillment center, video analytics. So these are templates you can just pick and get started, right? But in our case, we want to build our own application, a custom application, okay? So you create custom app. And then on the new tab, you can see the new application. We're going to give it a name, all right? So where is that my stand? Sorry, guys. Let me get... I want to get the phone close to me so that I can easily be tapping on the screen. So here, let's just call it Global Azure Bootcamp 22 plug and play. What a long... Anyway, it's just the name of the application, all right? And then, so it generates the URL for you, as you can see. And there's a custom application. So we're going to use, let's say, trial, all right? And there you go. You can use the different settings or billing subscriptions you can use. So I don't I don't think this is seeing my subscription because I don't think I have a Hotmail thing with it. You know what, guys? Let me sign in with a different account. I have an account that has a subscription so that it can build it. Else this is going to ask me for credit card information and all that crazy stuff. All right. Yeah, I mean, you can use the free 7 days standard and all that, nothing fancy or crazy. I'll just use the free so that it can kill it after 7 days. Right. So, where is that one? Let's use this. Let's go ahead and create this one. So, let's go here. Try the login. Yeah. And if you have any questions, again, don't forget to drop it. You can also feel free to contact me on any of my social media handles. Let's do this. Okay. This is taking a bit. That's crazy. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Hurry up. This is strange. This is taking more than I expected. Anyway, I'm using the same network, so I'm expecting it to feel drag on it though. Though there's no one on the network today. Anyway, well, let's see if we can get some background music going. So we are not bored. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. No, this is really strange. This is taking more than, you know what? Let me refresh this. Yeah, sometimes it's just not Hotmail. Yeah, let's use Outlook. Sometimes it's just, you know. Yeah, there you go. Unscripted. Yes. yes. For those who know me, I don't do a lot of scripted stuff. Yeah. Yeah, John. I hardly do scripted stuff. Not that I can't do it, but I feel send push notification. I just feel that sometimes also, people need to understand that we are humans. And yeah, it might work for others. It might work for others where, some people prefer, to do to do scripted stuff. I mean, at some point I've done some scripted stuff, but this is very, live. And the good thing about, this global event now is that because it is how do you call it? Because it's virtual and we create the streams and we utilize it, all right? So I can pretty much go as far as I'm not pressed to say, hey, there's someone coming behind me, so hurry up, but I'm just being respectful to the time. So this is a good approach if you ask me. So yeah. So just working to get there you go. So yeah, IoT Central, that's fine. So I have a subscription for this. You realize that it's preloading my subscription. Do you see that? Because I already have it. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and let's do this. Global Azure Bootcamp 22. Come on. That's one thing. It keeps going off. So 22, plug and play demo. All right. So created for me is a custom application. Let's just use free for now. Okay. So let's do free for now. There you go. See, my subscription is already so free. I don't need any subscription. If I choose any of this, it would pick up my subscription. So this is just free. So let's do create. It's going to provision the application. Yeah, I mean, you can technically create, you could create one, with different pricing tiers if you want. I could have created one with different pricing tier, like left it as standard. But I mean, it's just demo purposes. So, with this done, we'll go ahead. Let's go. It's still loading. So it would at this point ask us to create, show us devices connected to this application. All right. And then we will intend. So there you go. So yeah, got it. That's fine. We just close this way. So you can see all devices. All right. So new IoT Central, get started in a minute, start IoT solution, pretty much. So what we want to do is, once that is done, we are now going to do the register. So all we're going to do is to use this one. Okay, we're going to click on add a device. Okay, so click on add a device, and it would give us a unique device name. It's going to give us all that information. Okay, so let's do this. As of now, it's not going to give you any assign, so that's fine. So let's just do okay, well, I'll just leave it to the default anyway, just and again, like I mentioned, if you don't have a device or even a phone, you can use simulate device down here. So if you can't see it, let me zoom in for people to see it. So this is it. Here, you provide a device name. And if here, that's what I'm saying, that if you don't have a device, you could just click this, simulate the device, and then it, based on your template, it will just simulate some data for you. All right. So we're going to accept all this. I'm just going to copy this for posterity's sake and then click on create. So this now, this will create the, and I'm going to show you how simple this is. All right. So, so this now here is created a device for me. Okay. Now you see that in your phone, it would ask you to scan a QR code. That's another way to connect to it. That's how easy it is to get started with Azure IoT basics. All right. So I'm going to click on the device. Okay. And when I click on the device, let's see. I'm going to click on the top here. So look at the top here. All right. Top, this point where you see connect, manage template, manage device. Okay. For the purpose of our session, I'll just click on connect. And then when this pops up, look closely. All right. When this pops up, yeah, you see the scope, the device ID, there's a key, and there's a what? A QR code. This is what we are interested in. This is what we are interested in. All right. So select QR code. This pops up the QR code. Okay. Then now what we need to do is now take our phone, click on the scan QR code, come here. There you go. Connecting. So John, you see how simple this is? Yep. So scan the QR code. We're just waiting for it to connect. Connect. You see? So what's going to happen is that once it connects, right? Once it connects, you start seeing, you know, it's setting up. It says, oh, come on. It is. Are you, what's this saying? The QR code you have scanned is not an Azure. Let's retry this. Let's scan this again. There's something going on. Okay. This is when the gods of the demo day. You know what? Let's do this. I'm going to get rid of it and restart it again. Sometimes. So I'm going to wait for it to start. And yep, never know. Yeah, so let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Sometimes it's just messed up. Okay, let's do this. I want to 5 seconds, that's fine. Register. Let's see what happens this time around. Yeah, when you have not appeased the gods before a live session with live demos, that is what happens. There you go. So what's going to happen is when the connection goes through, all right, you will now start to see telemetry on the dashboard in IoT Central. All right. Do I have another phone somewhere that? Let's see. Okay. Now there you go. Yeah. Finally, the gods have smiled upon me. So, yeah. So, do you see that? So, all this geolocation, magnetometer, barometer, gyroscope, accelerometer, battery level, these are all from my phone. Okay, these are the sensors from my phone. So take a look at this. When I tilt my phone, you can see the magnetometer is changing. You can see if I'm walking, you see the accelerometer. So magnetometer is more on, the magnetometer and the gyroscope are more on orientation. All right. So this data, which is coming from my phone, this is data coming from my phone. That's my phone's battery level and all that. At this point, okay, if you now go to, if I go to my devices, all right, and I select my device. Now check this out. When I open the device app, okay, what's going to happen is that all the telemetry will start flowing, into this. Okay, yeah, my trial expired. That's fine. That's fine. So let's just give it some time. Let's see. Okay. Where's the overview? So let's go to the overview here. And I thought I had clicked it. Okay, there you go. So do you see that? So now my battery level is in there, my altitude. So it has done the calculation from all between the magnetometer and the gyroscope to be able to calculate my altitude as I am. Okay. Location is now using a map data. See, sending my location, accelerometer, and the pressure from the barometer is all here. Now, do you see how simple and straightforward this is? I didn't have to bother about buying any dev kit. I didn't have to stress about, looking for connection keys. This is very basics and practical. So now, even your phone in your hands enables you to do or to function or to start getting started with IoT using the Azure IoT Central and your phone to get things running. And as you can see, this is real time. So if I should maybe put the phone a bit down, right, just to see if the altitude changes, or if I keep flipping the phone, all right, let's go to properties. So I can send, as you can see, these are properties on my phone. I can send I can send editable properties to the plug and play. IoT Central. Sorry, why did I say that? All right. So that is how easy it is as part of our short demo to utilize your phone, as you can see, and sending data into Azure IoT Central. I hope this was useful to you. I hope this session was educative enough, was informative enough, or was entertaining enough for you to get your feet and hands dirty. Go spin up, Azure IoT Central. Use just your phone, download the app, and then try it out. I mean, that would be your first step. And if you still want to get through it and you don't have a device, you can use a Raspberry Pi. Okay. You can also use a Raspberry Pi. It's pretty much the same thing with a Raspberry Pi as well. Okay. Once you use the simulator, you also have to go back and create your, I'm trying to get the screen here. Yeah. So once you create, if you use a Raspberry Pi as well, you just go provision an IoT Central and connect with it, and your parameters will come in. But your phone is the easiest way, to get started with Azure IoT. So with that said, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the time. Unfortunately, we started late. But I hope that the time was worth it for you, and that this is going to assist you in getting started with your IoT journey. If at any point in time, or at any given event, you want to do more, all right, in Azure IoT, feel free to hit me up, ask any questions on my social channels, and I will be sure I'll try as much as possible to answer those questions for you. With that said, thank you for joining the session today. I was happy to have you. Keep going. Let's be safe. Learn something new. Let's make the world a better place. And join me again either on Sunday for Power, or Tuesday or Friday. Enjoy the rest of your Global Azure Bootcamp. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much. Catch you again at another global event, or watch out for my space for more events. I am out.
Like a thief in the night, long jaw. But you know, say, all of my niggas, them ball. Nothing you go ever need at all. Taking it a break, at me, I know the rush. Baby, if you want me, catch a record, my mister would me.
Show me a jigger, let me see. And let me see the woman that is with. I put a couple $1,000 on your wrist. What's on your wrist? Mama, they can't touch you. I ain't never see this kind, babe. We do so kind things, make me feel some kind way. You know I'm not just trying to get laid, cause I know some kind chicks do it for the right pay. Baby, make a fire you with my machine gun.